Our country used to follow our Constitution, which limited government power. We've become instead too often a place where unelected bureaucrats write their own laws, place unreasonable burdens on business, and threaten peaceful citizens with heavy fines or jail time. Today, Americans are suffering from the overreach of its regulatory agencies. These regulations have stymied job creation, created criminals out of ordinary decent citizens, and blurred the definition of property rights. There have been all too frequent reports of individual rights being violated by overzealous bureaucrats. These include the story of a family that sought to build a house on its half-acre of land, yet after they broke ground, the EPA interfered, claiming the family violated the Clean Water Act by placing fill materials, dirt, into the wetlands. There is no lake, pond, or stream on their property, yet the EPA is requiring them to obtain a building permit that would cost more than the value of their land. The family proceeded by filing lawsuit, but the request was dismissed by a federal judge, and now the Supreme Court is considering these violations.
The USDA has a SWAT team. They arrested an Amish farmer for the crime of selling milk from the cow. I told my father-in-law about this, and he grew up on a little farm in Kentucky, and he said, well, I drank milk from the cow since I was a baby till I was 20 years old. And he said, the only thing we disliked about it was when the cow got into the onions. But your government might be too large if we're arresting people for selling milk.
Another man bought a junkyard across the street from his house with the intent to construct a building on the lot. He proceeded to clean up this landfill, which was really an illegal dump, by removing 7,000 old tires and rusted out cars. However, the EPA did not view this effort as a cleanup, but rather as a violation of the Clean Water Act, because a small drainage ditch on the edge of his property was designated a wetland. Referred to the Justice Department for criminal prosecution, the man was sentenced to 3 years in prison and a $200,000 fine for violating the Clean Water Act.
John and Judy Dollarite live in a little town called Nixa, Missouri, and they wanted to teach their son about starting a business. So he started a business selling rabbits, and as rabbits do, they multiplied. He was very successful until one day the USDA showed up and they didn't have the right permit. They had one permit, but they didn't have the correct permit according to the USDA. They began fining them, and I think at the end of 30 days, it was $90,000. But this was a government, and they wanted to be nice to the people, so they said you could pay with cash or credit card. If you don't pay, though, the government said that your fines within 30 days will be $3.1 million.
Regulators would rather have America spend time and money getting the federal government's permission rather than take the initiative to produce and build. It's time to bring to light these high-profile cases and start a conversation about how to reform our country's regulatory system while putting an end to rights-violating groups like the EPA. With over 100,000 pages of federal regulations telling us how to live our lives, we must make a decision, live freely as long as we don't infringe on the rights of others or embrace a regulatory bureaucratic state. Choice or control. That is the decision we as Americans must make.